Okay, you guys, give me 1 second here to pull up the presentation and we'll get rolling. All right, does everybody see that?
It's loading. Yep, there you go.
Woohoo! All right. Okay.
And we are recording.
Okay, well, I'll try to be serious then. Okay. All right, I'm Sarah Gezzi from the Bureau of Workers' Comp. So Christy asked me today to come in and do a presentation on some of our resources, monies available, programs, and all that. So I've been working here at the Bureau for 19 years on the safety side of the house. I started as a safety consultant, and most recently I moved into being an industrial hygienist. And I'll kind of explain as we get through this what that means to you guys. But my contact information's on the slide. I'm going to send this presentation with all the hyperlinks in it to Christy so she can send it out to you guys and to others. Okay, so quickly, what I'm going to talk about again, discounts, rebates, programs, who the players in the game are and who to call and when. Go over our safety resources and then specifically our grants that we have available, and then open it up for questions. So in the meantime, if you have a question, let me know, shout it out, raise your hand. It would help me out a little bit. Okay, first thing, and some of you guys, you may have had a presentation like this before, or maybe this is all going to be new information to you. So on the BWC website, the bwc.ohio.gov, you have access to your e-account. So that's going to give you all your policy information, all your claims information. But what's really valuable about it is this going to show you the correspondence between the players in the game. It's going to show you what the nurses are saying, what your claim rep's saying. It's going to provide you all the medical documentation. So if you're responsible for maintaining OSHA 300 logs for your business, sometimes we need specific information about prescriptions or stitches. All that can be found in your claims files. Okay, so if you don't already have access to your e-account, this would be something that I'd really encourage you to go ahead and sign up for. And again, the hyperlinks will take you to those screens. All right, some things that the BWC has that's applied at the top with really no effort on your part are what we call the Go Green and Lapse Free discounts. Lapse Free, there's absolutely nothing you need to do except for pay your BWC premiums on time. Okay, so as long as you've stayed current for the last 5 years on your premiums, we're going to give you automatically off the top a 1% rebate up to $2,000 a year. Okay, so most of my employers max that out at $2,000. In addition to that, we will also give you the same discount if you do everything electronically. There is a one-step process for you to get the Go Green discount. When you go into your e-account or you sign up for the first time, you do have to opt in for electronic notices, and you're going to put in an email. That email, then all of your true-up notices, any BWC communications, payroll questions are all going to come to that email. And then you do everything electronically over our website in lieu of sending in payroll reports and things like that. We're going to give you that Go Green discount off the top. So a lot of times you'll be getting those and you won't even see them on your statements because they'll just be applied. Okay, a quick rates lesson. A lot of employers don't realize how we calculate our rates and how something that happened multiple years ago is still affecting you today. Okay, so a quick tutorial. We're currently in the policy year that runs July 1st of 2020 to June 30th of this summer. Okay, for the premiums that you paid for this year, we actually took into account expenses of your claims from July 1st of 2014 to July 1 of 2018. We say that we use the last 4 of the last 5 years, but that's kind of really hard to visualize. So I gave you a timeline. So you actually pay for your claims for about 4 years. The year, the 2019 year in this example is we call it the green year. We don't use any of the costs associated in your green year in your premium calculations. Reason being, green year claims are still very volatile. Some people are still getting therapy, medical resources, and they haven't really settled into a schedule yet. So again, costs kind of fluctuate, and we don't want to have that big variable when we're calculating your rates. So we always have, as we move forward, starting July 1st of this summer, those 2014, 2015 claims are going to drop, and we're going to add 2018, 2019. So it's always a revolving 4-year period. But it's important to know, again, if you have one really bad claim, it's going to ride on your existence for your premiums for 4 years. So whatever you can do to manage the cost of that claim during the green year before it hits your experience is going to help you in the future. And the same thing goes that even say all of a sudden you have this awesome stellar safety record this year and last year, but you had a bunch of claims previously, you have to realize that having a stellar safety record now is not going to pay dividends to you until 2 or 3 years down the road when those zeros start hitting your experience. So what goes into your premiums? Real briefly, it's more complicated than this, but I boiled it way down. You're really paying attention to 3 different costs when it comes to your injuries, okay? We have medical, which the BWC pays out. That's our doctor's visits, physical therapy, drugs and medicine. Then we have compensation. The BWC only pays compensation if the injured worker is off 8 or more days. Those are called lost time injuries in the BWC. Now, again, if you work with OSHA and you maintain OSHA records, you know OSHA calls a lost time injury anytime that an employee misses a day of work after the date of the injury. But at BWC, they're 8 or more days off is a lost time claim. Medical only claim less than 8 days off. Okay. Also in the compensation is your average weekly wage rate. So again, if somebody's going to be off for 2 weeks, we're going to ask you for information on what was their wages over the last year so that we can calculate that AWW. Okay, now the column that comes back to bite you a lot is the reserve column. We at the BWC have to put into projection how much money we're going to need for the rest of that claimant's or injured worker's life to provide for them. Okay, so if they're seriously injured, it's going to be additional time off, it's going to be therapy, it's going to be medical bills. All of that wrapped into the lifetime of that claimant. We call that the reserve. That reserve is normally where most of the money in your lost time claims is found. Now I'm going to share with you some strategies to help reduce that reserve amount. But these are all numbers you should be aware of and know where your claims are hitting. Okay, so we take all these costs from the last 4 of the last 5 years, and then we run a calculation. And that depends on what you do for a living, facility managers. Okay, we expect your employees to have a certain amount of injuries. Okay, we expect some medical claims, be it stitches or sprain or strain, you're going to have this happen. So we have a projected amount of loss for you. When the amount of loss you actually experience from those claims exceeds what we expected for you, that's where you start to have to pay more for your premiums. And actually, if you get access to your e-account, all this is under your experience rating, and you can see a printout of all these numbers and all these calculations. So if you need help with that afterwards, you can always let me know and we can get you there. Okay, so we run all those calculations, boil it down to a number that represents your risk and how good or bad you're doing, called your experience modifier or your EM. Okay. If I were to start up a similar business to Kevin today, and I did the exact same things Kevin does, the Bureau would assign me an EM of 1.0 because I have no experience to base it off of, right? I just started my business, okay? But you guys been in business for a while. You've had employees for a while. So we have those 4 years of claims costs to figure out a prediction of your future. So with your EM can either be credit or debit rated. So an EM less than 1 means you've had less costs associated with your claims than we projected you to have. That's where you want to be. You want to have an EM of 0.75, 0.64, 0.94. Anything below 1 means you're doing better than average. Anytime your EM goes above 1, it means you incurred more cost to your claims than we thought you would. And that's kind of a place you don't want to be, being that you're not as eligible for some discount programs and some things like that. But again, I'm going to give you some strategies, so hopefully you can keep that EM below 1. Okay. So like I said, some of those, depending on your EM and what you're doing and what group you belong to and all that stuff, not everything that we do as programs, discounts, and rebates mesh together. Okay, so we have what's called a program compatibility chart. So I gave you a link to that, okay? So you can kind of see that, hey, I have a high EM, I'm participating in these programs, what other discounts are available? That's what this chart's going to do for you. Okay, so other discounts, rebate programs that we have is called the EM cap. Now, this is this is special, invitation only program by the BWC. Okay, you're going to get invited to be in this. But what happens to be eligible for the EM cap is you had a really good EM. So let's say, to make the math simple for me, your EM was 0.5. Okay. All of a sudden, you've had some really bad claims come on. And so when we shifted to the new policy year, those added claims costs came on. And all of a sudden, that EM number went up to 1.2. You were at 0.5. Now it's at 1.2. That's not really fair, right? That is a huge influx of premium and cost for that employer. So to try to cushion that and protect the employer from that huge swing of that premium cost, we implement EM cap. And what it's going to do is it's going to cap that number at 100%. So if you were at 0.5, your EM would go to 1.0. Okay. There are some requirements when you're in that program to complete some safety training. We want to try to educate you on how to not get in this situation again. Okay. But again, it's invitation only. So you'll receive a letter in the mail or an email discussing this. All right, 2 other ones, one claim program. One claim program is exactly what it sounds like. You've had one significant large claim during those 4 years, and it puts you into a bad situation. Okay, it's a 4-year program with decreasing discounts each year, but you start out with a 20% discount your first year. Something to know about the one claim program. I'm going to talk about the players in the games and the roles. Sorry about that. And one of the players is going to be third-party administrators. Okay, they are not part of the BWC. They're independent, a party to your workers' compensation. A lot of times, third-party administrators will not let you know that you're eligible for the one claim program. Okay, so when I talk about the parties and we'll talk about should you be meeting with these people, that's something to keep in mind. Not always everybody shares all the information on the table at the same time. So if you've had no claims or just a few, like 2 medical only claims, which, were just stitches, and all of a sudden you have this catastrophic claim, that's something to be asking of your bureau people. Am I eligible for one claim? Okay. Construction cap's another one that if you are in the construction industry codes, that's your manual descriptions for what you do, and you have an experience modifier that's greater than 1, we do have a program in place where for bidding and vetting purposes, you can say your EM is 0.99. So like if you're trying to do work for American Electric Power, for example, they vet you on your EM and on your injury rates and your OSHA log numbers. Well, if you have an EM over 1, you're automatically, put down at the bottom of the list. So this is a program, again, to help our construction employers maintain competitive bidding. All right, some strategies to help you guys that are not always discussed a lot. So the first one is handicap reimbursement. And I realize this is kind of an outdated term, and it's not exactly what you would associate with that terminology. So what handicap reimbursement is the BWC and the medical community have agreed that if you have certain diseases or health issues, medical issues, disorders, you may not heal as fast as somebody who doesn't have those. So let's take diabetes, for example. If you have a diabetic with a foot injury, it may take them longer to heal and return to work due to how the diabetes affects their body and affects their healing. Okay, that is no fault of your own. Okay, you as an employer, you have no control over that. So we don't want you to incur additional costs that were no fault of your own because your employee is diabetic. So they missed more work, they incurred more medical costs. That's not fair. We don't want that to happen. So for those claims, you can file for handicap reimbursement. And there's 25 eligible conditions, everything from diabetes to pre-existing arthritis to epilepsy to even if you served in the military and you were injured and that injury is causing issues in this job, you can receive a handicap reimbursement. And what happens is those third-party administrators I referenced before will file this on your behalf. And you collect your medical evidence from your claims file that says, yeah, this person had a pre-existing arthritis condition that is causing this delay in recovery. And then you take it up to the Industrial Commission, and then hopefully we're going to give you a percentage of handicap, which means we're going to take that percentage of costs off that claim cost. So it removes some of that cost from the claim, again, because we want you to hire people who have pre-existing medical conditions. Most of us do have those now, but we don't want you to be penalized when their healing or return to work is delayed because of that. Okay. Another one that we have as in our strategies, you can always settle a claim. If the employee no longer works for you, you no longer have control over that claim, right? You don't know where that person is. You try to call them. They don't come to hearings. You can't get medical data. But that claim's still sitting there incurring cost on your experience. So one of the strategies is a lump sum settlement. All parties have to agree to it. The BWC has to agree. The injured worker has to agree. And then if the injured worker has an attorney or a third-party administrator, everyone has to agree onto that amount. So we're not going to lowball somebody, but we're also going to be realistic about how much that claim is worth in the future and how much money it will be beneficial for you to settle it. What settling does is it removes that reserve amount from that cost equation, okay? It stops that claim on the day it's settled. No additional cost will be incurred from it. Okay. It's not always a good idea for all claims, but if the employee no longer works for you, it can be beneficial since, like I said, you lose control of that claim at that point once you don't have contact with that employee. So we have an entire settling department. You all work together on this. We see a lot of settlements go through around the times of right before summer and right before Christmas, because everybody likes to have extra money for Christmas and everyone likes to have extra money for summer vacations. So you'll kind of see, if you'll work with your third-party administrator, you'll see some trending with settlements. And the last one, this is relatively new. It's only a few years old, and it's not well advertised. If one of your employees is injured on the road, so there's a motor vehicle accident, and your employee is not cited by the authority having jurisdiction. So what all that means is they didn't get a ticket. They weren't at fault for the accident. Okay, if your employee is involved in the accident, they are injured, but they were not at fault and not cited for it, you file a piece of paper, non-fault motor vehicle accident form. And what it's going to do is, again, if your employee did everything right, but was still injured, why should we have that claims cost going against you for those 4 years? So if we have the correct documentation from the State Highway Patrol or the local police department, whoever responded to it, we actually use that information to go subrogate and get costs from the other people's insurance. And we remove that claims cost from your experience. Okay, but again, that's only good if your driver was not at fault. Okay, I don't see any questions or any hands raised. I'm going to keep going. I'm assuming everything's going well. Okay. All right, some options that you have is going to be the drug-free safety program. This has been around for a very long time. It's kind of morphed a few times. Now it's called the drug-free safety program. It can give you a 4 to 7% rebate, but you do have to jump through some hoops. Okay, at the 4% rebate, you do pre-employment or post-offer drug testing, reasonable suspicion, post-accident follow-up. At the 7% rebate, you have to add, sorry, I'm choking. You have to add, totally missing the word right now. Randoms. Okay, there we go. 7% you add randoms. Okay, but to also get our discount, in addition to all that testing, you have to do annual training for your employees, annual training for your supervisors on reasonable suspicion. Okay, and there's a report that you have to file every year. Now, if you're currently not in this program and you want to enroll, we do have a grant to cover initial startup costs, and that's going to help you with funding for writing a program, having legal review it, bringing in your trainers for the first year. The grant does not cover drug testing costs, though. Something a lot of our contractors have is they are part of the drug-free safety program if they're in construction or contractor trade. So something you do, if you hire a maintenance crew to come on, or you hire somebody to help you with a building addition or an HVAC renovation, and you want to know, are they drug testing their employees before they get to your site? Is that part of their program? You can actually look them up on our website and see if they're enrolled in this program and are verified as having a drug-free safety workplace. Okay, we also have the industry-specific safety program. We refer to this as the ISSP. It is a 3% rebate on a program policy year. Depending on the size or your amount of payroll, we determine how many safety activities you have to do. So maximum amount is 3 activities. The least amount of activities is 1. So an activity is anything from attending a virtual class right now, attending a webinar, talking to me about an industrial hygiene issue, having a safety consultant help you with your HAZCOM program. Okay, there's lots of choices to choose from. We'll help you get through it, but it is a 3% rebate. And then we have Safety Council. Currently, the rebate's not available for Safety Council because we're in a virtual world. Hopefully, once we get released to the field, we're all still at a work-at-home status due to the governor's order. But once we get returned to the field, hopefully the Safety Council rebate eligibility will come back. But Safety Councils meet once a month. Right now, they meet virtually. You can attend. There's Safety Councils all over the state. There's quite a few in the Dayton, Cincinnati area. When the program comes back, you attend 10 meetings, you file some paperwork with us, and we'll give you, depending on your rate system, a 2 to 4% rebate. Okay, transitional work program. This one's quite lucrative if the chips fall in your favor. And let me explain what that means. Okay, first off, a transitional work program is a fancy term for a return to work policy, right? We all have a return to work policy that says if you're injured, we're going to work with your doctor and we're going to bring you back to work to meet your restrictions as soon as possible. Again, a reason you want to return that employee to work with the restrictions as soon as possible is the sooner they get back to work, that reserve number is going to start to go down. That compensation number the BWC pays out starts to go down, all again reducing your claims cost over that 4-year period. So with the transitional work program, we expect you, the BWC, expects you to have a formal written program, okay, that you share with all your employees. You would also have job descriptions that tell us, you know, this HVAC service tech, he has to be able to lift 50 pounds 3 times a day. He walks, stands, leans, squats, whatever, for how many hours during the day and has to drive 50 miles. Okay, it's going to be a detailed job analysis so that if that employee is injured, he can take that to the doctor and go, look, this is what my job entails. What parts of my job can I do right now based on my restrictions? Okay, so 2 parts to this. Number 1, we have a grant available to help you develop this program if you don't have it. Okay, so we have money available. We will set you up with a transitional work provider. They'll write those job descriptions for you, give you an overall training for your employees to introduce the program. Okay, that's one part of this. Second part of this is once you have that developed, or maybe you already had that developed without our help, okay, then you can apply for the rebate program. We call it transitional work bonus program, but here's where it can really make a difference. In the event that you do have a lost time claim and that you do have an employee who cannot return to work within 8 days, what we're going to ask you to do is utilize your transitional work program to bring them back. Meet with the doctor, use those restrictions to bring them back to work. Okay. Depending on the number of eligible claims that you have and how many of those eligible claims you return to work using your program, we will give you up to a 10% premium rebate. So again, that's a chunk of money for just using the program that you already have in place. But the trick is you have to enroll in the bonus program to be eligible for that 10%. Okay, for the drug-free safety program, the industry-specific safety program, and the transitional work program, enrollment is open now, and enrollment will close the last day in May. Okay, and again, I hyperlinked all that. So when you get the presentation, you can click on it. It'll take you directly to our webpage describing that program and allowing you to apply online. Okay, something that's relatively new for us is the substance use recovery program. So I threw up a bunch of counties up there. If you reside in one of those counties with your workplace, these are the counties that are utilizing the program at this time. We realize that there's an opiate crisis, but we have a lot of workers who are addicts who are recovering or are recovered, and we want you to hire them, okay? But we realize that comes with some additional costs for you, such as possible additional testing, rehab, things like that. So what we're trying to do is to give you grants, money, and reimbursement for hiring those people, okay? So things that you can, if you're in those counties, you can apply for reimbursement, again, for policies, drug-free workplace policies, return to work policies, follow-up testing policies, training for employees on substance abuse and recovery, trainings for supervisors on what they might see in the workplace and how to react to that. And then we will reimburse you under this program for drug testing associated with bringing somebody back to work after recovery or going through an addiction program. And this the governor's constantly putting more money into this program, so it is expanding out to different counties. So it won't be too long before most counties are represented in it. All right, we do have a wellness program. Okay, construction is included in this. If your codes are under construction, your manual codes are under construction. It's called Better You, Better Ohio. We've had it for a while now. If you have under 150 employees, you're eligible for it. And what it will do is it will provide you with a free wellness program for your employees. To qualify for it, you cannot have a wellness program in place. So what do we call a wellness program? A wellness program is going to be providing a health risk assessment, which is normally like a questionnaire to your employees, and then biometric screenings or that blood draw. Okay, if you currently don't have both of those as part of a wellness program, you can enroll in Better You, Better Ohio. And what that will do is it will give your employees access to an online health risk questionnaire. Okay. And then it'll also give them access to a biometric screening. We even have at-home biometric screening kits where you order it, they send it out to you, you collect saliva, a drop of blood, and you send it back. So they don't even have to go to a testing site. Okay. If you have 30 or more employees who are willing to do the blood draw, we will actually bring it to you. We will have a mobile site come out to your workplace and take the health risk assessments and the blood draws at your convenience, at your location. But what it does for your employees is it gives them incentives. It gives them Visa gift cards for doing this. If it comes back and finds out that they have a pre-existing condition, I'll go say pre-diabetes, and they take some health coaching classes on the phone through this program, they get additional incentives. This does not cost you, the employer, any money. In fact, we have marketed it almost just to the injured workers and just to employees, because there's nothing the employer has to do to be a part of this. But we do have marketing materials available and all that. So it's something to check out if you don't have an employee wellness program in place. Because again, if your employees are healthy, in the event they get hurt, they're going to recover quicker. Okay, and so that's again going to reduce your costs. If your costs are reduced, the Bureau doesn't have as many costs because we don't have to save all this money for these injured workers. So it's a win-win situation if we have a healthy workforce. Okay, so who can you call, and what, we have all kinds of acronyms at the BWC. So what does everything mean? Okay, for every one of your BWC policies, you will have an assigned employer service specialist. Okay, employer service specialist is going to be helping you with policy questions, enrollment in these programs. They're going to help you with settlements, salary continuation, all these questions you have. They work for you. They're paid for by the Bureau to be available to help you. Okay. Then you have claim service specialists. Those are the people who are assigned to help manage your claims. The claim service specialist job is to keep everything rolling. Okay. They're talking with the injured worker. They're talking with you, the employer. They're making sure that things are scheduled on time and the appropriate paperwork is being gathered so we can continue to process their claim and provide them payments as an injured worker. In addition to that, you also have managed care organizations, or MCOs. Everyone who has a claim, every employer who has a claim on their record has an assigned MCO. You are allowed to change your MCOs every so many years. We call it MCO open enrollment. You'll probably get all kinds of solicitations in the mail about changing your MCOs. The MCO's job is to medically manage that claim. So those are the people who determine, is a CAT scan necessary? Are eight visits to the physical therapist what we need to be doing? MCOs are not paid by you. MCOs are paid by the Bureau to manage those claims for us. And there's multitudes of MCOs to choose from. In fact, right now on our website, there is an MCO report card. So you can kind of see how the BWC has graded the MCOs on different types of services and their ability to, for example, get injured workers back to work, meeting restrictions. Okay, then you have those TPAs, those third-party administrators. Okay, I call them your hired help. You are paying out of pocket for them. You're normally signing a contract with them for about 1 year at a time. Now, if you are in certain rating programs, such as group rating, where it gives you a discount on your premiums, there's also group retro rating. Those, you need to have a third-party administrator to be part of those programs, okay, those rating programs. The third-party administrators group 100 like policies together to get you a discount. It's kind of like buying in bulk. You know, you buy more, you get a discount on your price. It's kind of the same philosophy with that, but we don't do that. The third-party administrators do that. If you have a third-party administrator, they are also there to help you through claim hearings, industrial commission hearings. They're also supposed to be keeping tabs on these other programs that come up. So they should be talking to you about the ISSP, the Industry Specific Safety Program, or the Drug-Free Program, or the EMCAP program, and what's in your best interest to enroll in to reduce your costs. If you have questions on getting somebody back to work or issues with a claim, that's who you make your phone call to. You are paying them to do this for you. So the squeaky wheel gets the oil with third-party administrators. Okay, and then the minority and small business advocate, she is actually a state employee. So I gave you the link there. That will take you to her webpage. But she's a state of Ohio employee here to help small businesses navigate federal and state requirements. So she can help you look for grants, policy information, different things that are a little bit more challenging for small businesses. But she's available. And she also speaks at and does presentations. So she's always somebody else to reach out to. Okay, so you do have a local Dayton BWC office. If you didn't know that, we are currently shut down. Everything is virtual, but the 1-800 number is still working. Okay, so onto my side of the house. All that stuff is claim side. I am on the safety side. So what the heck do we do? Okay, so we are paid for by your workers' comp premiums. 1% of your workers' comp premiums fund our safety services. So even if you don't use us, we're still going to take that money. Okay, so what I'm saying is utilize our services. You already paid for them. So we do have construction and industrial safety experts. So for example, again, you're having issues with, let's say, lacerations from box knives. How do we stop that? Well, we can provide consultation and resources for different types of knives, different types of processes. Maybe we'll look at hand protection. These people are here to help you. We'll help you develop written programs, hazard communication, confined space entry, your OSHA 300 log reporting. That's what we're here to do, is provide you templates and resources. Then we have specialists called ergonomists. They're worried about those soft tissue, muscle sprains, strains, and contusions. So you have employees who are hauling hot water heaters up the stairs. Well, what can we do to help prevent sprains and strains from that? The ergonomists are going to help introduce you to some pieces of equipment that we could use for stair climbers, work with you again to develop programs and processes to reduce the probability of those. They also do virtual desk work site assessments right now. So if you have a lot of people working from home or working at the office doing data entry, long time sitting in front of their computers, they can help them adjust everything so they don't get that pain in the neck, they don't get those migraine headaches from it. Okay, I'm an industrial hygienist, so I'm worried about noise and air. So things that we can do is help you measure how loud is too loud and at what point do you have to provide hearing protection, or if you've got issues with employees are getting headaches from carbon monoxide, or they might be exposed to, you're doing a spray painting operation, you're coating something that you never did before. You call us and we're going to help you measure the air contaminants and tell you what you need to do to either meet federal requirements from OSHA or to make best business decisions and best practices. Okay. Under that umbrella of us, we're referred to as the Division of Safety and Hygiene as part of the Bureau of Workers' Comp. Under that umbrella with us is also OSHA On-Site. Now, OSHA On-Site is separate from us. What they specialize in is small employers, the 150, 200 number again, and under for employees. And they come out and they're going to do a full assessment. So they're going to evaluate all of your structures and policies, and then they're going to do a hazard assessment of your facility. And they're going to provide you recommendations. If you work with OSHA On-Site and you come up on a random list from federal OSHA for an inspection, OSHA On-Site will get you a get out of jail card. For free is what that is. They're, like I said, they're just like me. They're just on a different side of our house. We don't share records with each other either. But if you utilize them, they also fall under a safety activity for the industry-specific safety program. Okay. So you can request consultation from any of us through this link. It'll give you information on OSHA On-Site and also the DSH safety consultants. We also have library services. We have a streaming service for safety and health videos. So if you know you're going to do drug-free workplace training next month and you want to supplement it with a video, you can subscribe to our streaming service, which will allow you to play it on any mobile device. We also have DVDs that we can send out if you prefer that method. We have the ability to ask our librarians. So if you guys have a question about the NFPA 101 life safety code and means of egress, you can call up our librarians and go, hey, my occupancy is this, my exits have been reduced by this number, what does that mean? And they'll give you an answer and give you resources. And part of that, again, is safety templates, presentations. They'll give you book referrals, magazine articles. They are a wealth of services, again, all included in your workers' comp premiums. The same goes for all of our trainings. Again, we're stuck at home right now. So we're doing everything virtual. We have virtual classes. Instead of using Teams, we use WebEx, which allows us to draw on the screen, has a lot more interaction with people than the way Microsoft Teams is developed. So it's much more fun than me yammering on today. But we also have online classes, and then we have live webinars. All of our registration is handled through a learning management system that we call the BWC Learning Center. So it does have a different website and a different e-account than that BWC government website that I referenced earlier. But what I'll send out to you guys is a listing of all our virtual opportunities for April, and you can see some of the classes. Something that is coming up is going to be an NFPA 70B electrical systems maintenance class. And I'm not sure if that falls under your realm of responsibilities for facilities management, but as you guys know, switchgear, breakers, and all that do have recommendations from the manufacturers as to how often they should be serviced or flipped back and forth. And that's what 70B is going to address. All those maintenance issues are outlined in that document that we've never even seen. Most of us don't look at that. So it's kind of an interesting class that might fall within your realm. Again, free to attend. You can enroll up to 4 people from a single facility or policy number at a time. Okay, onto the grants we have. We currently have the Indoor Air Quality Grant for COVID. It is eligible to licensed facilities from Ohio Department of Health, the Ohio Department of developmental disabilities, all these different licensed facilities. We did extend the grant out to June 30th. So if you're going to install UV lighting that's going to kill the viruses within your ductwork, that is part of things covered by this grant. Or you're going to increase air circulation and put in additional strength and capacity to your systems, covered by the IAQ grant. You will not have any interaction with us as staff. All these grants I'm going to review with you, the grants that are currently available, are all pretty much, you purchase the equipment, you do the work, we reimburse you through the grant. Okay, the other grants that we currently have, and again, I'm not really sure if they're going to fall into your realm or not, but just so you know, you can always pass the word. If any of you are volunteer firefighters or you have a family member that works in the fire industry, we do have a grant to help them buy additional hoods, gloves, washing machines for their equipment, and also exhaust systems for their for the running of the trucks within the service bays. That's a firefighter exposure grant. The Employers Working with Developmental Disabilities grant will provide everything from sensory room items to deal with slips, trips, and falls. It has quite a few things, but again, it has to be a licensed facility dealing with developmental disabilities in the state of Ohio. If you know any contractors that do trenching, we currently have our trenching grant reopened. We will help you buy shielding and shoring. So if they don't have a trench box, those are things that you'd want to put them in contact with us so that we can help them utilize this money to, again, safeguard their employees when doing excavations. School Safety and Security Grant, open to all school districts in the state of Ohio. We're going to help you buy everything from video cameras, oh my goodness, to metal detectors, to you name it. We'll even treat the floors for slips, trips, and falls and things. So it's a really massive grant right now, still open to schools. All right, I put up all our contact information. I would highly recommend that you do subscribe to either our Facebook or our Twitter account. I will tell you, things hit Twitter before they tell us. Okay, so if you're following our Twitter account, you're going to know about it before the BWC employees know about it. It's a really valuable tool. We have quite a few safety videos posted on our YouTube site, how-to videos. We have True Up coming up due July and August for this policy year. We have YouTube videos on how to do that and explain some of the issues or questions you may have. So that wraps up my presentation. Does anybody have any questions?
I'll just say thank you, Sarah. That was very good. I know I'm going to share the recording with a few people